here's Brody Brazil.
I feel like the demographics here on my YouTube channel are going to be very split on this, but how do you feel about the year 2002? For some of you, it might have been the year you were born, just based on what I know and who's watching these videos. For others of you, like myself, 2002 kind of feels like just yesterday. And 2002 is when NRG Stadium was built in Houston for the Texans in a brand new football stadium. They also use it for the rodeo. They've had college events there. Like, it's well used, but it's not that old. I think we can declare if a stadium was built in 2002, it's not outdated already, is it? Like, the Texans aren't really considering building a brand new stadium, or they're not requesting a brand new stadium, are they? Well, the answer is they're thinking about it. This is reporting from the Houston Chronicle, and again, this is amazing that a stadium built within 25 years is already at the point of potential replacement. The Texans have started negotiating or renegotiating their lease at NRG Stadium past 2032. That's when it currently expires. So we're not even anywhere close to the end of their lease, which again ends in 2032. But two sources told the Houston Chronicle, they told the Chronicle that the team is exploring the possibility of a new stadium. Not renovating the current stadium, not fixing it up, not even trying to stay there or leaving it alone. Exploring the possibility of a brand new stadium, but also that the team has not fully committed to that path. So to be clear here, and I don't want to blow this out of proportion, I don't want to make this a bigger deal than it seems. I'm not suggesting that the Texans are demanding a new stadium. It's not that. But the fact that they're even considering that over just some minor fixes and touches and upgrades to NRG Stadium, which is not that old, this kind of blows my mind. And especially when you find out who paid for it, how much the public still owes on it, like, it is kind of crazy. There was a recent assessment done on NRG Stadium which said that the facility was in average or below average condition compared to its peers around the National Football League across the United States. There's apparently a laundry list of needs in terms of infrastructure and building maintenance. This is all because of deferred maintenance over the years. They've decided, well, we'll push this off. We'll punt on this, literally, until down the road. And now they're at this point, and so there's two things to do. You either fix all this up or you vacate the place and you move on. And the latter of that is crazy to me. Like, how do you get in this position where typical maintenance alone doesn't take care of the facility? But they did do this study and this assessment, which said that a renovation could cost $1.4 billion. That's right, the renovation alone, to get what they want out of this facility, $1.4 billion. I mean, in terms of construction, that's a cost you might expect, not renovation to a structure and a venue that already exists. The Texans say, or reportedly from the Chronicle, that they would weigh that value of what renovations cost versus just building something brand new from scratch and starting it how you want and kind of getting that blank canvas. They would have to weigh the value of renovation versus a brand new stadium with, again, all the bells and whistles that any team could hope for. But going back to NRG Stadium, again, opened in 2002, it right now is middle of the road. It is 17th oldest in the National Football League, so not by far the newest and certainly not the oldest, but it's right in the middle of the pack. It's never been fully renovated. They have taken care of some things. They have made some upgrades. They've had 2 Super Bowls, and I want to say for the second one, 2013 was that. They did do some more upgrades so that the game could happen there and it would make the NFL happy, but they've never done a full-on renovation of the venue. It, by the way, was the first NFL stadium with a retractable roof. That's kind of hard to believe that it took until 2002 for that to happen. But who paid for NRG Stadium to begin with? Well, it was a mix, but mostly the public. $317 million was paid for by Harris County of Houston and that region and that area in Texas. Harris County paid $317. The team generated ticket licenses, season ticket licenses, generated about $50 million, and they contributed that to the stadium. So $50 million versus $317 million. And would you believe that the public, like right here, right now, still owes $1 billion in principal debt on NRG Stadium? So this is not one where, hey, it's 50 years old, we got our money out of it, we got our life out of it. The public still owes $1 billion in principal debt on NRG Stadium. So the team, meanwhile, let's go back to the team side of it. They've got this wish list of, well, what do they want in a new stadium? Like, what would renovations not take care of? This building is already facing a $35 million total cost for roof fixes, and I think the sound system is getting an upgrade. That's already in the works for, I want to say, this offseason into next season. In the very near future, $35 million is getting poured into current NRG Stadium. Again, the lease is for more than a handful of years, so they will be playing there in the near future no matter what. But the team wants more spaces for luxury suites and club areas, and they want all this closer to the playing surface. So that's like major construction here. We're not changing or talking about changing the lighting system or upgrades that are just a simple swap out. Take something out, install something new, you're done. We're talking about major construction, foundational type construction here. They want bigger concourses. Like, that's steel and concrete that needs to be moved or changed or altered. All of this getting in the very costly vicinity. They also want this stadium to be tip-top shape. So just like the Superdome in New Orleans, it can all of a sudden host a Super Bowl. And every decade or so, the Houston area gets a Super Bowl because NRG Stadium is as vibrant as the NFL would want to bring the Super Bowl there. But all of those things understood and kind of expected, there's also this reporting from the Houston Chronicle. The Texans have also benefited from a team-friendly deal at NRG Stadium for the last 2 decades. The team put up revenue from those permanent seat licenses towards the construction of the stadium, but the team does not have to contribute toward most maintenance costs, unlike the Houston Rockets and the Houston Astros at their respective stadiums. The county is on the hook for those costs at NRG Park. That's right. So the team didn't even have to pay much for the construction of this place, and they barely have to pay for the upkeep of it. And check this out. The Texans often get more money in tax rebates year to year than they have to pay in rent, according to financial audits, meaning the government essentially pays the team to play at NRG. Let me read that again, meaning that the government essentially pays the team to play at NRG. And not to mention, NRG Stadium is sitting right next door to, well, another stadium that was used properly and used for much more than 25 years. That's the Astrodome. And they're actually considering right now a way to refurbish the Astrodome and give it a second life, have it serve a different purpose. They're not certain on that. They're also not certain if that's viable up to standards at this point. But are you really going to build a third stadium on this complex? You're just going to keep collecting stadiums there. Oh, here's our stadium from the 60s. Here's our stadium from 2000. Here's our stadium from 2033. Like, it is just amazing to keep running through these venues. And look, no disrespect to the Astrodome. I'm glad it actually is still standing. If they can find use for it, it's great that they didn't tear it down. But it's kind of a signature and a statement right there that they might have been a little bit irresponsible here if they didn't do NRG Stadium the right way. And that begins my takeaways. Number one, I say this a lot here on the channel, but stadiums absolutely need to have a 50-year expectation lifespan that are attached to brand new construction in stadiums across our country. It's ridiculous to think that less than 25 years in, like 23 years in, we're talking about replacing this 70,000 seat stadium, or even the potential of that. It shouldn't honestly even be a conversation at this point. I do understand the need at about the 25-year point to make fixes and upgrades. Look, I'm a homeowner. The water heater has had issues. We had to replace that. The dishwasher that originally came with the house, that has been replaced multiple times over. Sometimes we had a roof issue. Sometimes you have no choice but to make these upgrades and to do the maintenance costs. I totally understand that. Who pays for that? That's a separate story, but I understand these things come up. And you also want to modernize the stadium. You want to future-proof it as best you can when you do this for the next 25 years. Totally get it. But to think that a stadium is done, kaput, after 20, 25 years alone, that is so irresponsible thinking. Fortunately, the public sentiment right now in Houston seems overwhelmingly against this. Again, they're already $1 billion in debt on the current stadium, which is only 20-something years old. But here's the craziest part, right? You think we're just talking about this situation in Houston right now. There are also similar scenarios developing In Tennessee, in Nashville with the Titans, now that's a project that's well underway. It's already happening. The Titans got their brand new stadium, I want to say in 1999. In Denver, the old Mile High Stadium was replaced in, I think, 2001. And the same thing with the Browns. They got a new stadium close to the year 2000. So all three of those teams, new stadiums right around the year 2000. The Titans are already getting a new one. The Broncos are pushing for one, apparently. They're exploring that. And the Browns are trying to go away from downtown Cleveland and get themselves a brand new stadium. But three other teams here in this similar new stadium situation right now, all trying to get out or get away from a facility like the Titans are, that went up for them specifically about 25 years ago. It's crazy. We got to change this trend. I'm somebody who appreciates a place like the Superdome, and it's fine no matter how much more money you want to keep putting into a place. I'm actually more okay with that than the thought of, hey, blow it up, start from scratch, let's rebuild this. You did it the wrong way if you need to totally change your plans from 25 years ago. Again, I feel like, and I should have made a video on this too, around the Super Bowl, that the Superdome is actually a good thing and a good idea. And they've used an existing structure which has some history, and they've upgraded it, and it doesn't need a new location. They've pumped more money into that, and they got the Super Bowl out of that, but that is so different than this. Building this and then erasing this and then building something else right next door. Or maybe just building something else right next door. Plenty of land apparently in Houston, but it's hard to believe that that stadium is already outdated or that that's even a conversation right now. That's the end of this video. Thumbs up down below. That'll greatly help me in this video and this channel. And don't forget to go down there and hit that subscribe button so I can definitely see you back here next time.